kept his promise.
Home for Christmas, Wednesday at 9 on ATV.
Fire strikes in St. John. 2 children seriously injured.
Rescue at sea, a battle against time.
And mother and child reunion, getting together after a generation apart.
Now, from the #1 news team in Atlantic Canada, the ATV Evening News.
Good evening, everyone. From the ATV News Center, I'm Jonathan Gravenor.
And I'm Janice Landry. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Just a point where you know how much of a chance to take.
If you sat back and thought about it, you wouldn't go in.
We know what our job is, and everything worked out right. We had a good pumper operator, and we all worked together. It's a team effort. There's no doubt about it. I mean, firefighters do this every day.
So a typical display of modesty there from the firefighters who were on the scene yesterday. They also give credit to bystanders who provided them with fast and accurate information on where the kids could be found in the home, and of course that was critical.
Mike, any word on what would have happened if they didn't have that information?
Well, the firefighters we spoke with today said that without that information, they probably would have gone in the front door and started the search on the ground level of the home. And if that had happened, it would have taken them much, much longer to find the kids who were on the 3rd level in the bedroom. So it certainly added to the speed with which they were able to get the kids out of the home.
And perhaps they wouldn't have come out alive.
That's right.
Thanks, Mike. Of course, we'll keep you updated on the children's condition and give you a cause of the fire when it's released. Jen.
The search for crew members from the sunken ship Salvador Allende is continuing at this hour, but high winds and waves have been hampering rescue efforts since the ship first sent out a distress call Thursday night. ATV's Janet Stewart has been following the story all weekend long, and she joins us now live with the very latest. Janet, what about today's search effort? How's that going?
Janice, it's been an extremely frustrating day for searchers today. It's been absolutely fruitless. Even though the waves have calmed down a bit, it should be a little easier for them to see. They have found absolutely nothing today. That leaves 22 Ukrainian sailors still out there unaccounted for. Of course, 9 have been found. 7, unfortunately, were dead. 2 are alive and doing well. For the missing 22, though, time is running out. The Salvador Allende was on a routine mission carrying rice from Texas to Finland. About 10 o'clock Thursday night, in 10-meter waves, she began to take on water. She went down 10 hours later, 1,200 kilometers southeast of Halifax. That was 3 days ago. Many would say now it would take a miracle to find any of the other crew members alive. But then again, in this search, something close to a miracle has already happened. 2 men from the Salvador Allende have been rescued, alive and well. The first was found in a small boat. He is now on board the Korean ship that rescued him. The second, 36-year-old Alexander Taranov, was plucked from the sea by an American Air National Guard helicopter. He was floating alone, wearing no survival suit, just a windbreaker and a life jacket.
He told me that he wasn't cold, and he was with 2 or 3 of his friends, and he hadn't seen them for a couple of days.
Normally, when you go out in the ocean, you can find a raft or you can find a lifeboat, but to find a person in the water in a life jacket is extremely difficult. And I've only had that happen to me one other time in 25 years.
Taranov, a father with 2 kids, is now at the Dartmouth General Hospital in stable condition. Hospital officials can't say how long he'll be hospitalized. Now, the searchers do say that there is all kinds of debris at the scene. It looks like the ship was absolutely torn apart by the water. But they're still searching that area. Right now, they have 8 merchant ships still looking, as well as 5 American aircraft. And as well, there's a Coast Guard cutter coming up from Boston. It's on its way and should be there tomorrow morning. But as I say, today, they found nothing.
Janet, of course, in the rough seas, the survivors could be tossed quite a distance from the wreckage.
Well, that's it exactly. They've had to widen the search quite a bit. They're searching hundreds of square miles beyond the point where the ship actually went down. But again, with the high winds and the bad seas that they've had for the last few days, unfortunately, those survivors, if there are any, could be anywhere.
Thank you, Janet. Thanks for the update tonight. And of course, we'll keep you updated on any new information on this scenario. On the crime beat tonight, a large amount of illegal American alcohol, tobacco products, and moonshine have been seized as a result of a bust at the Marine Atlantic Ferry Terminal in Borden, Prince Edward Island. 130 cases of American liquor with an estimated value of $45,000 were confiscated from a car there. 2 people have been arrested. 47 cartons of illicit tobacco products and 6 gallons of moonshine were seized at the home of one of the suspects. Both face charges under the Excise Act.
2 Halifax police officers were assaulted overnight in 2 separate incidents. In the first, 5 men and a woman were involved in a disturbance at a nightclub in downtown Halifax. Now, that brawl apparently spilled out onto the street, and about 200 people ended up watching it. A police officer was assaulted. His injuries, though, were not considered life-threatening. Police eventually managed to clear the street. Those involved appear in court at a later date. And in another incident, an officer was investigating reports of a drunk driver in the city center when he was punched in the face. The man faces several charges as a result, including assaulting a police officer, impaired driving, and violating a probation order.
There's been an industrial accident in Shediac, New Brunswick this weekend. 21-year-old Remy Landry died Saturday at the Skaduk Industrial Park. He died after falling from the roof of a building there. The New Brunswick Occupational Health and Safety Commission is investigating. And Nova Scotia's finance minister says he can't say when a casino might open its doors in the province. Bernie Boudreau says he expects to have recommendations from a special committee studying casino proposals very soon, though. Boudreau says the committee has been considering 3 proposals for gaming houses in Halifax and in Cape Breton, rather. The minister says the final decision will be made by the provincial cabinet.
Well, the 7 leaders of the world's richest nations meet in Halifax next June for their annual summit. A lot of preparations will be underway in the coming months. Halifax County doesn't want Halifax hogging all the spotlight, though, when the G7 summit is underway. The county government has set up a committee to figure out how to use the high-profile meeting to promote tourism and local businesses. Halifax County isn't alone in its endeavors. About 40 communities across Nova Scotia are trying to do the same thing.
Well, with only 2 weeks left until Christmas, consumers are out in full force getting their last-minute shopping done. In New Brunswick, of course, there is Sunday shopping to help consumers get the job done. Some retailers have been asking the government to expand the 4-month Sunday shopping period. ATV's Kate Lettrick joins us live from Fredericton tonight with the latest. Kate.
Well, Janice, Sunday shopping is a controversial subject. Some people think it's great, and other people are totally opposed to it. Now, the government is trying to find a compromise that will please consumers on both sides of the fence. Retailer Mike Davis says the 4-month Sunday shopping period that runs from September until December has been good for business.
And I think by offering the service of being open on Sunday, it's really important.
A lot more convenient.
Definitely a lot more convenient for the consumer. Actually, after Christmas and after Christmas and your non-peak sales times, I think it's definitely spreading 6 days over 7. Although the summer might be different for tourism. Tourism definitely gives them a chance, if they're in your town, to get in.
I guess the present Sunday shopping plan we have is essentially a compromise.
Some retailers have asked the government to expand the Sunday shopping period into January so they can get rid of excess stock. Others are against the plan.
So we listened to all of that and decided that we enjoy what we have right now.
When you talk to consumers, you'll find they're split on the issue of Sunday shopping.
I think for people that work on weekends or night times or don't have time to do all their shopping during the regular hours, I think it's probably a good idea.
Many of us have to work on Saturday, and there are other people that travel and things like that, and they don't get home until the weekend. Why, it provides them an opportunity.
I'd like to see it from September through Christmas. That's it. And I think after Christmas, should be a time with your family, and people can shop Monday through Saturday.
Okay, as long as I don't have to work. But it makes it convenient, so if you can't get anything done on Saturday, if you come out on Sunday, it's okay.
So for now, at least, things will remain the same, and Sunday shopping will end at the end of December. Now, of course, some shops and stores can open in the summer, and that's if they're in a designated tourism area and if they get a special permit from the government. Janice?
Kate, does the McKenna government foresee a time when Sunday shopping would go year-round there?
Well, Municipalities Minister Paul Duffy says that a decision on that will probably have to be made at some point in the future. Now, he says it'll depend on a lot of factors like pressure from retailers and maybe looking at what other provinces are doing. But he says for now, at least, he's going to have things remain status quo.
Thanks very much, Kate.
Thanks.
Well, for motorists in the Halifax area, winter weather makes more than driving difficult. It makes parking tough as well. The annual winter parking ban takes effect at 1 o'clock tomorrow. That means no parking along the sides of the streets between 1 and 7 in the morning. Violating the ban could cost you not only the price of a parking ticket, but in some cases the cost of having your car towed away. And nobody wants that to happen. Well, a messy messy day
Ugly
out
day,
there today.
ugly day.
It certainly is. All the details now from our first fast look at the weather with meteorologist Phil McLaughlin. Phil.
Well, not a user-friendly day across the Maritimes. As we talked about yesterday, a slap of winter coming in. We saw that today across the region. Well, we had some snow, and then it changed over to freezing rain. We had some ice pellets thrown in, and then the southern areas saw some rain. We had the good winds to go with it. And there you can see the December storm looping through the Maritimes rather quickly, caught up into the jet stream, and that's booting off to the northeast and soon to get out of here. But coming in behind, cold Arctic air. And when I'm back later, of course, we'll talk all about it. And we're also going to explain the difference between freezing rain, ice pellets, and sleet. So stay tuned. So from weather highlights, now we'll go to sports highlights with Ricky Anderson.
Thanks, Phil. Here tonight in sports, we'll have the latest on all of today's NFL action. And we'll tell you what happened in the final of the Grand Slam tennis tournament. Also, we'll tell you who boxed who in the big super lightweight title fight last night in Mexico. Plus, we'll update you on the NHL labor talks, Major Junior Hockey, and the crazy coach. All this and more coming up in sports later tonight. But first, back to Janice and Jonathan.
Thanks, Ricky. Lots more to come tonight. The countdown is on. You know, it's only 2 weeks from today, Christmas.
I know it's hard to believe. Up next, you'll meet a very special woman who's helping Old St. Nick send greetings to thousands of eager children. Santa's helper is up next.
Serving Eastern Canada since 1977 for all your computer needs.
Experience the world of ICS.
Lamindar Jewelers knows that at Christmas, just when you think you've got all your Christmas list filled, there's someone you forgot. Lamindar Jewelers can help. Diamonds, collectible figurines, jewelry, clocks, and watches. You see, at Lamindar, the Christmas list goes on and on and on. At savings of up to 30% on selected merchandise, you can solve those last-minute gift ideas. This Christmas, discover the way jewelry shopping was meant to be at Lamindar Jewelers, Champlain Place.
Mom, breakfast is ready. Don't forget, we're going to Mitchell Fur today. Mom? Coming, dear.
Have you been to Mitchell Fur lately? For the finest in furs, leather, and microfiber fur liners, Mitchell Fur, 881 Main Street, Moncton, and Kings Place, Fredericton.
If you could buy a 1995 XLT extended Aerostar minivan with four-wheel drive for $27,569, it's a good value. If you buy a 95 XLT extended Aerostar minivan with four-wheel drive with all this equipment from Fox Ford, plus the Fox Ford family commitment that you will be satisfied for only $23,569, it's a terrific deal. Call 328-8828 or stop by Fox Ford on Connell Road in Woodstock and choose from over 20 Aerostars.
Well, they were dancing up a storm at the local cable TV station in Glace Bay, Nova Scotia this afternoon. Third annual telethon to help the local food bank. $23,000 was raised the first 2 years. Today's telethon featured talent from all over Cape Breton. A lot of talent up there in Cape Breton.
It certainly is.
Well, as I mentioned just before the break, 2 weeks from today is the big day, Christmas Day. Of course, Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the elves are, well, pretty busy getting things ready. In fact, sometimes they get so overwhelmed with letters from children that they need some help.
That's right. That's why Santa has asked some people who work with Canada Post to help him with his letters from girls and boys. And as I found out today, being a Santa helper means you have to be young at heart and a devout believer in the spirit of the season.
Nancy McDonald has been a letter courier in the Fall River area for almost 2 decades. 10 years ago,
Just help for helping's sake.
That's right.
Still ahead tonight, news from around the world, including expanding free trade.
A summit wraps up in Miami this weekend that changes NAFTA. Details when we come back after this short break.
Remain in your seats until the leaders and their guests have departed.
Listen, this stuff that we make, it's powerful. It makes you powerful. Stuff that we make, it's powerful. Take it. Listen. Gather up your ideas, run with them. It makes you just do something amazing. We're in your corner, and we can't wait to see what you're going to do. Stuff that we make. Listen.
Many women are very conscious of having thinning hair. We treat it with a great deal of sensitivity. If a lady has some hair but needs a little bit more volume to have the style that she wishes, we can use her own hair and pull it through a type of net that we will design the hairpiece with. To me, it's a reward to see that I can help in some small way.
What if he's hungry? He won't be hungry. Every other kid in the world's gonna feed him. Okay.
May your season be magical. Make it a blockbuster holiday.
If you buy a 95 Ford F-150 4x4 for $16,295, it's a good value. If you buy a 95 Ford F-150 4x4 from Fox Ford with mag wheels, 235 tires, handling package, interior enhancement group, AM/FM stereo cassette, and the Fox Ford family commitment that you will be satisfied, it's a terrific deal. Call 328-8828 or stop by Fox Ford on Connell Road in Woodstock and choose from over 125 F-Series trucks.
UN convoys are having to put up with more harassment from Bosnian Serbs. The UN says Serbs hijacked trucks from a fuel convoy and other vehicles from being stolen. UN officials say the resulting fuel shortages are hampering other operations such as sniper patrols and convoy escorts in that country.
Well, to quote Prime Minister Jean Chrétien, the three amigos are now four. Chile will soon be joining Canada, the United States, and Mexico in the North American Free Trade Agreement.
Yes, Prime Minister Jean Chrétien, President Clinton, President Cedillo of Mexico, and the Chilean officials invited the South American country into a group at a news conference in Miami this morning. Now, that conference rounded up the weekend summit of the Americas. The summit was a meeting of leaders of the 34 democracies on the two American continents. Only Cuba, because it is a dictatorship, was excluded. The leaders talked trade, development, and politics, and Saturday they signed an historic deal to start negotiating a continent-wide free trade zone with the deadline of the year 2005 for an agreement.
There's a report this weekend that Prime Minister Jean Chrétien will shuffle the federal cabinet next month. Apparently, the PM wants to have the best material available in some key portfolios to help sell what some predict will be the toughest budget in Canadian history. Sources say Health Minister Diane Marleau, Heritage Minister Michel Dupuis, and Revenue Minister David Anderson will be demoted.
Well, tomorrow, Quebec Premier Jacques Parizeau is going to take his Independence Roadshow to New York. Parizeau will attempt to convince New York bankers of sovereignty plans he unveiled last week in the Quebec National Assembly. Of special interest to Wall Street, Parizeau's assumption that an independent Quebec will be accepted into the GATT and into NAFTA trade agreements. One of Canada's best-known economists, though, is predicting a very tough sale for Parizeau in New York. Marie-Josée Drouin says that the Quebec Premier has an image problem amongst Wall Street financiers. Drouin says American business is baffled by Parizeau's desire to separate at a time when world leaders want to integrate the Americas.
Well, the lights are slowly coming back on across Newfoundland right now. Electricity across the entire Avalon Peninsula was knocked out by a severe storm on Friday. That means about a quarter of Newfoundland's residents, including those in St. John's, are depending on candles and kerosene for light and heat. Newfoundland Power says it may take a while for all of the repairs to happen since more than 2,000 power line poles are down.
In New Jersey, a man is dead after a letter bomb exploded in his suburban home. Police say the bomb exploded in Tom Mosier's hands while his family was home. Luckily, no one else was hurt. Authorities say they still have few clues and don't know of any threats against the man. He is an advertising executive.
Canadian Regional Airlines is scrambling to get planes ready for tomorrow's Ontario and Quebec commuter flights. The Calgary-based airline has been forced to ground 15 ATR-42 propeller-driven planes because of safety concerns. Officials say passengers will be put on other carriers as soon as replacement aircraft are found.
Well, back to the U.S. again. Authorities are searching for clues into today's explosion aboard a Philippine Airlines jet. One person was killed and at least 10 others injured. The Tokyo-bound jumbo jet made a safe emergency, though, landing in Okinawa, Japan. The radical Philippine Muslim separatist group has claimed responsibility.
A big congressional election in India this weekend, and the country's ruling party is trying to recover from a stunning political setback there. Ashish Ray with the story.
He's Rama Rao, a fading film star with a telesavalas look. He's also a doting husband, having recently married a woman half his age. More pertinently, he's a politician, and his regional party has just notched up a huge electoral triumph.
The poor man doesn't think of economics in a bigger sphere. He will think of his food first.
That was a clear dig at the Indian Prime Minister Narasimha Rao's economic reforms. Rama Rao promised voters in Andhra Pradesh state that he would further subsidize the price of rice and ban the drinking of alcohol.
This isn't just an election gimmick. I don't think it's possible. He'll be burdening the country itself. He's not giving it from his pocket.
Such logic failed to rescue Narasimha Rao. His Congress party was beaten in Andhra Pradesh and another important southern state, Karnataka. An opinion poll, however, reveals that the very people who voted against Rao's party in the states are impressed with the performance of his federal government. But the extent of the debacle has clearly shaken his party colleagues. Rao's economic liberalization, which has won international acclaim, is now being criticized for not benefiting the masses. His supporters, however, rule out any change of policy.
I would say that policies we are going to continue, but we have initiated. But we have to put more thrust on the rural development, agriculture sector, irrigation sector, more employment to the rural areas.
Rao has established in the past that he isn't easy to dislodge. It will be interesting to see how he tackles the crisis. He has to prove he is still indispensable in order to maintain his grip over his party. Ashish Rai, CNN, New Delhi.
And those are the main national and international developments today. But coming up shortly, Phil McLaughlin and the weather.
Also, a controversial experiment is attempting to answer once and for all, is there global warming taking place? Back right after this short break.
Come into McDonald Pontiac Buick for the GM incredible, unbelievable, just in time for Christmas truck and tool offer. Buy any new GM light-duty truck or van at McDonald Pontiac Buick and get $1,000 worth of Black & Decker tools or home appliances. For example, buy this 1994 GMC Sonoma SL pickup for as little as $11,995 and get $1,000 worth of Black & Decker tools or home appliances. This offer won't last long, so come in now to McDonald Pontiac Buick Moncton, where the price is always right.
Downtown Moncton, where the sights and sounds of Christmas are alive. Christmas would not be complete without a visit to Gifts Galore. So many unique gifts and fine crafts to choose from, and old-fashioned service at Gifts Galore Main Street. Make the Dufferin Game Room Store your first choice for the game lovers on your list. Board games, puzzles, cards, darts, pool, and billiard products, and much more at Dufferin's Game Room Store, Highfield Square. Downtown Moncton.
Jean Coutu is an excellent place to buy gifts.
I come here because I find that at Jean Coutu there's a lot more choice. You find everything. You find your cards, you find your bows, you find your wrapper.
And a lot of perfume, a lot of aftershave.
Hair accessories, they have jewelry.
I buy the present, take it to the counter, they wrap it, they bag it, I'm out the door.
This week, pick up 5 rolls of Plus Mark wrapping paper for just $3.29. Happy holidays from Jean Coutu.
Because you can find that little special gift that you're looking for at a reasonable price, and you're laughing.
Ho, ho, hold the interest, hold the payments. It's Christmas countdown at CB Liquidators.
Hold the interest, hold the payments till summer of '95.
And countdown savings in all furniture and appliances.
Shop now and save on wing chairs, recliners, and swivel rockers in a range of styles and assorted flock velvets. Countdown price just $199.95. Hurry to CB Liquidators.
With all these Christmas giveaways, could I be Santa Schwartz?
It was definitely a dull, wet day in the Halifax metro area today. Lots of rain and brisk winds after a few centimeters of snow before dawn this morning. Not the kind of day to be out walking in, that's for sure.
But if you're in Fredericton, it was mostly snowy. None of this slush. Not much traffic about, as many motorists took police advice and stayed at home. The snow did change over to freezing rain and then some rain. But as you can see, more of it's stuck on the roads, and that's where it belongs, away from me. Hopefully it'll stay away from me, but I got a feeling Phil's weather forecast isn't going to be to my liking, will it, Phil?
'Tis the season, yes, dull and dank across the southern Maritimes today once the rain came in and the fog as well, but a lot of snow in the northern parts of New Brunswick. Jonathan, your favorite spot, Madawaska Panhandle, upwards to 20 centimeters. So here's the big picture tonight. We see the system moving along rather quickly with the jet stream getting out, and coming in behind we have a surge of Arctic air. So an Arctic Express is coming down out of the northwestern area, and we're going to notice that over the next couple of days once this weather system does get out of our area. So a big chill down is coming. So we go to the jet stream. Here's the pocket of cold air over the Great Lakes area. A lot of snow flurries coming off the Great Lakes with a lake-induced situation. But then the polar jet comes up over the Maritimes still, and just taking that system out of here, and this trough of cold air will be lying over our area over the next couple of days. And we're going to notice that the big chill is the best way to describe it for the next couple of days. So here's the weather map for tonight. We find the low pressure system parked over the Charlottetown area and pushing more off to the northeast. And this time tomorrow night I expect it to find up here in the Labrador Sea. Once the cold front goes through, the cold front now is just getting through the Yarmouth area, and the cold air is starting to fill in. And as I say, it's an Arctic air mass, and that we will notice over the next few days. It's going to be bone chilling across the Maritimes. So putting it all into motion, this is what we had last night, as you recall. To the eastern Maritimes it was clear, but then the jet stream quickly pushes that system across the Maritimes and gave us a variety of weather today, as we all know, and in behind it is clearing out, and later tonight we will have a clearing trend across the Maritimes, albeit turning colder as well. So tomorrow morning, I have to caution you right now, take it easy when you head off to work, to school. It's going to be slick out there. Forecast-wise for this evening, through the south, rain, fog, and up across northern New Brunswick, the snow will continue. The winds in most areas out of the east to southeast, veering around to the south, and then later tonight as the cold front gets through more, the winds becoming more westerly, drier air coming in, precipitation coming to an end, the fog will get out, and these temperatures I have on the map reflect daybreak temperatures tomorrow, so there you can see how the temperatures are going to tumble overnight tonight, and that wetness out there will turn to a bit of ice here and there, so take it easy again starting off tomorrow morning. For tomorrow, we'll find the day not too bad in terms of sunshine. We'll see a fair amount of sunshine across the Maritimes, a blend of cloud here and there. If my map ever does come up, there we go. And there we're going to see a few onshore flurries here and there, and they're the daytime highs. The wind chill scenario, brisk to strong westerly winds at times gusting up to 60 kilometers per hour. So earmuff stuff through Monday. And look at the daytime highs through New Brunswick, -6 to -8, -5 for Prince Edward Island. Across Nova Scotia, anywhere from -2 to -5. Factor in the wind tomorrow. It will feel like probably -20, maybe -30 in some areas. So nippy, nippy day coming along for tomorrow. My long ranger for Tuesday, the Arctic air mass upon us for both days, Tuesday and Wednesday, so a mix of cloud and sunshine. Still a few flurries with the winds coming off the water around the Bay of Fundy, for example, in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Daytime highs just around -4, so very, very cold, I have to emphasize, over the next few days coming along. And again, we talk about the big chill. So to summarize, the weather out there tonight is gradually improving. Cold front is pushing across the Maritimes, giving us a change of air mass, drier air coming in, the precipitation getting out. But the key thing is, overnight tonight and by daybreak, temperatures really tumbling and getting well below freezing in many areas of the Maritimes. I'll be back later to explain that freezing rain, ice pellet, sleet scenario with my wake-up weather. Jonathan?
Well, big question these days with environmentalists, is there global warming? A controversial experiment designed to answer that question is now a step closer with the release of an environmental impact statement. However, as Susan Reed tells us tonight, the controversy rages on.
Loud underwater sounds won't harm marine mammals. That's according to an environmental impact statement from scientists at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. They argue using underwater noise to measure global warming will not hurt animals.
No permanent physical damage.
Scientists have fallen a year behind schedule because of concern from environmentalists. But the experiment now includes biologists. If a permit is issued, it could begin next spring. The first 6 months of the experiment, biologists will monitor the effect on marine mammals. And if they find all is well, only then will the experiment continue. In November, a test run was staged off the coast of San Diego. A specially designed vessel was pulled 300 miles offshore. Scientists and marine mammal researchers lived above water for 10 days, while equipment underwater sent sound waves to 6 receivers that fan the Pacific Ocean from Alaska to New Zealand. The speed of sound depends on the temperature of the ocean, and the temperature of the ocean shows global warming.
You simply have to measure the travel time from point A to point B. If the ocean, on average, were to warm up,
the travel time would decrease because the speed of sound increases with increased temperature.
The scientists stopped testing when marine mammals were sighted within 10 kilometers of the sound source, and they claim the level of sound they're using is much lower than a very noisy icebreaker or other large ocean-going vessels. But some environmentalists still fear whales are in danger.
The whales are basically blind as far as they depend on that sound to communicate. It would be as though a foreigner takes over your phone line and they would not be able to communicate. How can that affect their mating?
Others also argue there are less expensive ways to measure global warming, like looking at rainfall measurements.
When you look at the floods that took place in Mississippi and the floods that took place in Europe this year, I don't know we need much more indication of global warming.
Project scientists disagree.
If you don't get the oceans right, you're not going to get climate predictions right.
Environmental groups want more time to study the ocean loudspeaker experiment, but even opponents admit it's probably a done deal. Susan Reed, CNN, San Francisco.
Still ahead tonight, Ricky Anderson with all the latest from the world of sports.
Including scores and highlights from the NFL. Details are straight ahead. Please stay with us.
Kelly, wide open. Touchdown, Buffalo.
Introducing the all-new accent from today's Hyundai. It's a tough car to beat.
Frank's Furs and Boutique Monique, your complete fashion connection at Plaza Mode Bathurst. Furs and so much more. Frank's Furs brings you supple leather, unique Norma designs, and Linda Lundstrom, as well as the practical cloth coat. Every fashion need is addressed at Boutique Monique. From the sportiest looks to the dressiest, it's clothing that's versatile and artfully designed. Gift selection is made simple at Dans un Jardin Perfumery, and packaging is free. All at Plaza Mode in Bathurst.
Come into McDonald Pontiac Buick for the GM incredible, unbelievable, just in time for Christmas truck and tool offer. Buy any new GM light-duty truck or van at McDonald Pontiac Buick and get $1,000 worth of Black & Decker tools or home appliances. For example, buy this 1994 GMC Sonoma SL pickup for as little as $11,995 and get $1,000 worth of Black & Decker tools or home appliances. This offer won't last long, so come in now to McDonald Pontiac Buick Moncton, where the price is always right.
If you buy a 95 Ford F-150 4x4 for $16,295, it's a good value. If you buy a 95 Ford F-150 4x4 from Fox Ford with mag wheels, 235 tires, handling package, interior enhancement group, AM/FM stereo cassette, and the Fox Ford family commitment that you will be satisfied, it's a terrific deal. Call 328-8828 or stop by Fox Ford on Connell Road in Woodstock and choose from over 125 F-Series trucks.
That's a pretty big one.
Andy Bellier and his 3-year-old daughter Danielle decided to take advantage of today's weather to get a little snowman building done. Just one problem though. Danielle was more interested in playing in the snow than building with it. Oh well, looks like that's a job that Dad will have to finish.
Yeah, I was glad it kind of started raining first. I didn't have to shovel my driveway, even though I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of slush out there.
There'll be lots to come, don't worry.
Well, it's Sunday. There must be a lot of football going on. Once again, another disappointment for John Campbell and myself in the company football pool. But hopefully things will get better. Now with a look at all what's happening in the world of sports, and particularly football, here's Ricky Anderson. Ricky?
Thanks, guys, and good evening, everyone. A busy day in the NFL. We begin our coverage in New York. The New York Giants finally did something everyone else in the NFL has done for years. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals for the first time and kept alive their faint playoff hopes. The Giants did it the hard way in winning their 4th straight game after losing 7 in a row. Rodney Hampton scored on a 3-yard run with 40 seconds to play as the Giants blew a 10-point fourth-quarter lead, then moved 66 yards in 4 plays to beat the Bengals 27-20. Another road in Tampa Bay, Florida, as the Buccaneers hosted the LA Rams. The hometown squad all over the Rams today, dueling them to a 24-14 win. Warren Moon never won in Buffalo in 10 years with the Houston Oilers, Maybe he should have brought Chris Carter and Jack Del Rio with him. Carter caught 9 passes for 111 yards today to lead Minnesota to a 21-17 victory over Buffalo and give the Vikings new quarterback his first victory at Rich Stadium in 6 tries. Carter is 1 catch shy of Sterling Sharp's single season NFL record of 112. Although still in the wild card race, Miami's victory over Kansas City tonight would destroy Buffalo's chance of a 6th AFC East title in 7 years. I return to Frigid LeBeau Field. A white-hot offense and an ice-cold Steve Walsh were what the Green Bay Packers needed to salvage their NFL playoff hopes. The Packers routed the Bears 40-3. Brett Favre threw 3 touchdown passes, 2 of them to Sterling Sharp, and Green Bay's defense returned to form. And in other games, it was Detroit over the Jets 18-7, Cleveland over Dallas 19-14, New York 27, Cincinnati 20, New England 28, Indianapolis 13, Pittsburgh 14, and Philadelphia 3. And as expected, Colorado running back Rashaan Salaam is the 60th winner of the Heisman Trophy. Salaam, who led U.S. college football with 2,055 yards rushing, easily appointed Penn State running back Kajana Carter in voting by media and former Heisman winners. Magnus Larsson of Sweden captured the richest prize in tennis today, scoring a 4-set victory over top-ranked Pete Sampras at the Grand Slam Cup tennis tournament. Larsson won by scores of 7-6, 4-6, 7-6, and 6-4 to grab a first-place check of $100.5 million. Last week, Larsson helped Sweden capture the Davis Cup against Russia. And in Monterrey, Mexico last night, Julio Cesar Chavez methodically pounded challenger Tony Lopez to retain his World Boxing Council Super Lightweight Championship. The referee halted the fight at 1:41 of round 10 when Lopez, bleeding profusely over both eyes. Lopez, however, was able to score during the fight, but Chavez appeared to hit his challenger twice as often. It was Chavez's 93rd win against 1 loss and 1 draw. The national sporting hero of Mexico is in a farewell tour of fights, planning to reach 100 late next year before he retires. And here's the latest on the NHL labor dispute. The NHL bargaining committee met today in New York to prepare a report for the league's governors. One of the bargainers, Philadelphia Flyers general manager Bob Clark, does not expect the owners to cancel the season at their New York session tomorrow. Clark says a couple of weeks remain for a deal to be made with the players. It was like deja vu at the Halifax Metro Center last night. The Halifax Mooseheads saw Drummondville explode midway through the second period in similar fashion to Friday night's game to earn a 4-3 win. It's the Mooseheads' 5th straight loss. And finally tonight, in sports, call it crazy or call it pride. In Fremont, Nebraska last night, the coach of winless York College ordered his players to make 3 consecutive baskets for the other team to put them over 100 points. The coach's reasoning is if a team is beating them badly, he will not allow them to score 100 points on his team. Therefore, they will do it themselves. And guys, that's sports.
Thank you very much, Ricky.
Thanks, Ricky.
Well, still ahead tonight. It's a cure for your aching back.
Yeah, get out of bed. That's not the cure, but we do have the answer when we come back.
When it comes time to pay Santa.
Family commitment that you will be satisfied. It's a terrific...
Headaches or heal skin conditions, plus it has a calming effect. Ray also mixes special blends for her clients. She's working on one to relieve jet lag. Another, called Simply Love, might enhance your sex life. Aromatherapy has been used in European countries for years. In France, for instance, a doctor can write a prescription for an essential oil, and that prescription is covered by the healthcare system. In Canada, you pay for it. 12 milliliters of lavender will cost you about $11. But take a deep breath, because if your nose leads you to something like jasmine, that costs over $400 for 12 milliliters. That makes for some pretty expensive whiffing. No kidding.
$400 for 12. That would cause a
That's
pain
a
right
lot.
there. You know what I didn't get out of that? They didn't have any aroma for back pain.
Well, no, tell me about the sense of smell, though, really. Like, I have a bakery up by my house, and when you walk in there, it smells so wonderful that even if you're not hungry, you have to buy something.
I know. I think, you know, really a good bakery, you can put on weight without even eating anything.
Just look at everything.
You draw it all in. But it does work. It does work. So I think hopefully the bosses saw that report, and tomorrow they'll be around here with peppermint, spraying it around them. Well, do you know what the most read part of the newspaper is? It's the comics.
That's for sure. And now a museum is open to celebrate those funny pages. We'll have the story for you when we come back after this short break.
People tell
As a sea captain's family may have done in the past, they were making Victorian decorations, singing sea shanties, and drinking hot cider. Try to keep the chills away on this dreary, dreary day.
Another good way to keep the chills away is pick up the newspaper and open it up and get lost
And
for
relax.
a little while.
That's true.
Did you read The Far Side today?
No, I didn't.
It's hilarious. You
I'll have to take it after the show.
Speaking of that, you know, a museum in Connecticut is celebrating one of North America's most popular forms of art, the comic strip.
That's right. Norma Quarles takes a look.
With more than 600 artifacts on display, the exhibition at the P.T. Barnum Museum is a salute to 100 years of American comics. It all began on February 17, 1895, with the Yellow Kid, the first comic superstar.
His actual name in this comic strip was Mickey Dugan. He was a little Irish street urchin, and he lived down in the Lower East Side of Manhattan.
This depiction of slum life appealed to readers in record numbers. The turn of the century saw other characters who were immigrants trying to assimilate. The Katzenjammer Kids, Maggie and Jiggs of Bringing Up Father.
A strip about Irish immigrants who had become wealthy. They actually won the Irish sweepstakes.
The 1920s heralded the Jazz Age.
It was the era of Prohibition. Characters like Barney Google, the Gumps, Gasoline Alley.
Blondie began as a flapper character pursued by the son of a millionaire, Dagwood.
His father said, if you marry her, I'm going to disown you. They married, and his father disowned him, and he's been a working stiff ever since.
One of the most popular strips of the 30s and 40s was Dick Tracy, the Elliot Ness of the comics.
It was a sort of a fantasy vigilantism, if you will. You know, Al Capone was at the height of his power at that time. I think the comic strip readers at least felt like crooks got their due on the comics page.
World War II saw comic strip characters doing their part.
Superman probably was at the peak of his popularity during World War II. And he actually fought planes and battleships.
The 50s saw a return to normalcy.
Beetle Bailey was a strip that was created by my father in 1950.
The counterculture era began with Gary Trudeau's Doonesbury. The women's movement saw the introduction of Kathy, and for better or worse.
We've seen kind of a breakthrough of all types of humor in the comics. Certainly Gary Larson's Far Side is sort of setting a precedent for offbeat humor.
The most popular strip of the last decade is Calvin and Hobbes. Visitors get to try their hand at comic making.
I learned for today that comics can be very fun, and you can draw your own in.
Over the years, the comics have spawned movies such as Popeye the Sailor and Dick Tracy, television shows such as Superman, and Broadway shows such as Annie. It's an art form with roots that go all the way back to prehistoric cave drawings. Norma Quarles, CNN, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Yeah, it's the one thing universal throughout North America is comics.
Oh, I love
Seen in
comics
every single
myself.
market. Now for our own comic book character, Phil McLaughlin, with one last fast look at the weather.
Right, Jonathan, the mild air is really getting into southern parts of the Maritimes. Halifax at 9 degrees. I checked New Orleans, where the cold air is pushing well to the south. New Orleans is also at 9 degrees. Can you believe it? So to wake up tomorrow, we'll start off with sunshine, a bit of cloud in the water areas, a few flurries, off-water flurries. Tricky travel tomorrow because of all the wetness out there, the wet snow and the frozen snow. Daybreak temperatures -1 to the south, -10 across the northern parts of the Maritimes. So again, off to work, off to school. Tricky travel. Take it easy. For Monday, we're going to find a lot of sunshine across much of the Maritimes, except where the wind does come off the water. We'll have a brisk to strong westerly winds, and that'll create a few onshore snow flurries here and there, and you know where that happens. But emphasis on the sunshine and cold, wind chill to contend with. There you can see the daytime highs, -2 to -5 across Nova Scotia, -5 for PEI. Coldest being in New Brunswick, -6 to -8. So nippy day coming up for Monday, so take it easy when you start off in the day. Now, as I've been promising, the weather facts, talking about ice pellets, freezing rain, and all that we experienced today, I put a little graphic together. Now, what we have here is a warm front coming in, a tongue of warm air overrunning on the cold air mass at the surface of the Earth, and above that tongue of cold air, or warm air, we also have cold air where the clouds are. Snow develops, falls in the warm air, melts, and then goes into the cold air again, and then on the way down it freezes. Frozen raindrop, which is an ice pellet. Back this way, the same scenario, except the depth of the cold air is shallower, and it does not freeze until it hits the trees or maybe your car windshield, and that gives you that freezing rain. And sleet doesn't even belong here. It's a British term. We call it ice pellets. Back to you guys.
None of that belongs here as far as I'm concerned. Let's take a look at ATV's primetime lineup for you tonight. Right after our show at 7 o'clock, Murder, She Wrote. 8 o'clock, A Gift of Munch. 9 o'clock, the Sunday night movie tonight for you is Hook. It's a different take on the classic tale of Peter Pan, starring Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams, and Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell. Williams plays a ruthless corporate lawyer who discovers he was Peter Pan in his childhood and must return to Neverland to rescue his children from his old nemesis, Captain Hook.
And, of course, I'm back here at 12:30 tonight. And then tomorrow, the ATV Evening News at 6 o'clock. 20 years after it happened, it remains one of the most shocking crimes in the history of the Maritimes. 2 police officers killed in cold blood. A somber remembrance. Monday on the ATV Evening News at 6 o'clock. And that's all the time we have for tonight's show. I will be back at 12:30 tonight with all the local news, weather, and sports. Hope you can join me then.
And we will be back next weekend, 6 o'clock on Saturday night. Please join us. Please be careful out there if you're traveling tonight. See you again, and thanks for watching tonight, folks.
Yeah, it's
Bye-bye
going to
for
be
now.
slippery tomorrow. Be careful out going to work. Good
That's
night.
right. Bye.
Kept his promise.
Home for Christmas, Wednesday at 9 on ATV.
Tonight on Murder, She Wrote. It's value.